Yo, what's up guys? Chase the Bro here, and welcome back to another Dark Souls 3 build video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a build that was directly inspired by Bloodborne, and I'd call it a quality/faith build. I tried my best to create a build that would mimic the aggressive playstyle the Bloodborne characters have, all while trying to incorporate the health regeneration aspect of it as well. Just as it is in Bloodborne, this character rewards aggressive play. Most of the gear I'm wearing allows me to regenerate health as long as I continuously attack, which is the main reason I use dual-wielding weapons for this build, because each of the L1s counts as 2 attacks, so you get the HP regeneration that much quicker. Now that we've covered the regeneration aspect of this build, I want you guys to focus on the combo capabilities. I don't know how many people know this, but when you're using the L1s of the Gothards, you can actually combo it into the weapon art, as well as switch between the L1 and R1's attacks. Doing this will throw off your opponent's timing and make it much more difficult for them to get a parry off on you. These weapons also have a pretty decent hitbox, so when you're fighting gang squads, try to get them in tight spaces and use either your L1 or your weapon art to try and take them all out at once. That being said, you must be extremely careful because even though this build has amazing combo capabilities, while you're focusing on one enemy, if you're fighting a gang squad, the other ones can be attacking you from behind. So I'd suggest trying to take out one as quickly as possible, preferably the host. If they're all turtling together or trying to attack you as a unit constantly, I'd suggest trying to lure them into a narrow corridor or any small space. And like I said earlier, try to hit them all at once. But when you're actually in a 1v1 situation, which is rare, that's when these weapons truly shine. You now have the ability to keep the pressure on your opponent constantly and throw out all the amazing combos the Gothards have. And if you're dealing with a parry king, constantly switch between the L1 and the R1 attacks because the speed at which they come out is different and this will throw off his parry. You may have also noticed that I have the blessed weapon buff. Again, that is also to regenerate health like you would in Bloodborne. I don't usually wield it unless I'm low on health or fighting more than one enemy, but if I want to get the battle over with quickly, it does add a tiny bit of damage, so it's worth it. Just remember to be constantly aggressive with this build. That's how you would get all the added benefits of the rings and gear you're wearing, and otherwise you're not using this build to its full potential. That being said, parrying is definitely this build's weakness, so you need to change it up and not be predictable, otherwise you're going to get parried. During this fight, this guy was constantly fishing for parries, which I understand because this weapon isn't the hardest to parry, but to counteract that, I tried to time my attacks accordingly and switch it up, that way he wasn't prepared for it, and you couldn't get the parry off. If you go in between the parries, you're definitely going to be okay, and you'll finish your opponent off quickly. Alright guys, let me just bring up the stats. So the first thing I want to say about this build is you need a minimum of 15 faith in order to use the blessed weapon buff. After you've poured your 15 points into faith, the next important stat you need to look at is your endurance stat. Because this build is so aggressive and is constantly on the offense, you use up a lot of stamina, so you're going to want to have your endurance at the hard cap, which is 40. For those of you who think you can manage your stamina well and still be super aggressive, you can put it at whatever you'd like. I just honestly recommend having it at the hard cap just because you don't have to worry about it that way. After your endurance, the next important stat you need to look at is your vigor. Because this build is centered around healing and aggressive play, you're definitely going to trade a lot, so you're going to want a lot of vigor. I'd recommend anywhere between 35 and 40. I personally just liked having it at 40, knowing that I have a higher health pool, so I stuck with that. You're going to also need at least one spell slot, so you'll need your attunement at least 10. And the blessed weapon buff costs 35 FP, so I put it at 14 just so I know I could get the blessed weapon buff off at least 3 times. As well, you're going to be using the weapon art of the Gothards a lot, so I wanted to have a decent mana pool, so 14 was what I stuck with. The remainder of my stat points went into strength and dexterity because these weapons do scale off of strength and dexterity, and I managed to get them to 35 and 35, which is almost the hard cap, so I can live with that. The weapons themselves still do a decent amount of damage. 369 per slash is pretty good. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the stats, guys, so I'm going to take you on over to my weapons. As you know, I'm using the Gothard Twin Swords, and with this build, it is a quality build, so I did refine the Gothard Twin Swords, and it gave them a scaling of B and B in strength and dex. You're also going to need a talisman. Anyone will do really, whatever one you prefer. I'm just using the Sunlight Talisman because it has a faith cost of 14, so it works. Next up is one of the most important aspects of the build, the Old Wolf Curved Sword. The Old Wolf Curved Sword has 2 amazing bonuses. After landing 6 consecutive hits, which isn't too hard with the Gothard Twin Swords, you will regain 120 health. During this time as well, after landing consecutive hits, it boosts your damage output, just like the Pontiff's right eye. So it's a focal point of the build. As for the armor I'm just wearing whatever makes me look like a hunter. Honestly, you can wear whatever you like. This is what I had on me in my inventory that I thought looked pretty similar. I do usually try to keep my slash absorption as high as it can possibly be, but with this build, I went more for the fashion. I am wearing the Sun Princess ring because it gradually restores your HP, which goes well with this build. I'm wearing the Pontiff's Right Eye, which gives you a damage boost as long as your attacking persists, which stacks with the Old Wolf Curve Sword, so it gives you a nice damage boost. I thought it was worth it because this build is constantly attacking, and it's one of the only rings that gives you a boost for actually being aggressive. As well, I'm wearing the Pontiff's Left Eye because it gives me an HP regeneration with each successive attack, and I believe it restores 30 HP with each successive attack, so it's definitely worth it. Other than that, I'm just wearing the Ring of Favor +2 because it increases my health, stamina, and equip load, and I always have this ring on most of my builds. It's my, like stable ring, I'd say. But that's really it for the build, guys. That's all the equipment. That's everything I could think of. I hope you guys enjoyed this build video, because for me, it's super fun to play, and I might even use it as my regular PvP build. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video, it helps me out a lot. And subscribe for more Dark Souls 3 content. Thanks for watching, guys. Chase the Bro out.